recognizes the gentleman from North Carolina, Mr. McHenry, Vice Chairman of our committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I have the honor of representing the suburbs of Charlotte, North Carolina. North Carolina had an incredible banking culture over decades. You had, in Charlotte, First Union, homegrown bank, great reputation, went through challenging times in the economic crisis, as you well know. But before that time, they teamed up with a bank based in Winston-Salem, Wachovia. And as you know, in acquiring what was then called Wachovia, which was really First Union and Wachovia, the pitch was that your culture from California was very similar to this North Carolina culture, this banking culture. And as you well know, John Grimes Midland, who was a great chairman of Wachovia, sort of imbued in Wachovia this culture that a banker is a civil servant as well. There's this obligation to society they have and their community. You eulogized him.
Yes.
Paid tribute to that culture.
Yes.
So I want to think about that culture, because what is so sad to me is that pitch of culture doesn't conform with my experience with my constituents in North Carolina. It doesn't conform what I know about First Union, what I know about Wachovia, and this cultural pitch that you had in acquiring them in the financial crisis. I know you have a huge headcount in North Carolina. We're grateful for it. But what's sad to me is the impact of this on them and those employees you have in North Carolina. So I wanted to look at your code of conduct that you tout. So let's look at your code of ethics and business conduct. And you said in your message as CEO, we are all responsible for maintaining the highest possible ethical standards in how we conduct our business and serve our customers. The Code of Ethics, in fact, says, our code applies to all team members, including officers, as well as directors of Wells Fargo and Company and its subsidiaries. It also says we are all accountable for complying with the code, as well as all company policies and applicable laws. And finally, it's critical that all team members have a solid understanding of our company's Code of Ethics and business conduct, and understanding that noncompliance with the policy may result in disciplinary action up to and including termination of employment. You clearly have failed. You've clearly failed in your own ethical standards internally. You have broken, and your company has broken, long-standing law. You've broken long-standing ethical standards that you have within your company. This has nothing to do with this debate about Dodd-Frank or anything else. You've broken a long-standing law, and you've defrauded your customers. How can you rebuild trust? How can you rebuild trust? And how can you get through this thing? What standards are you holding yourself to that sends the message to the rest of these folks in your organization that look to you for leadership and guidance? What are you doing to restore that?
Yes. Well, thank you, Congressman. The culture of the company is strong, and I know
it's really hard to say that when you're before Congress for the second time, and behind you was all the settlements you've had for problematic relationships you've had with your customers by taking their money, right? Counter to the law, counter to your ethical standards. So it's great that you say you have a strong culture, but why are we here today? How are you addressing that?
Yeah, we are addressing it. First of all, with respect to culture, we have 268,000 people who have made their life's work and careers out of helping customers. There's people today who are out with young...
That's why I raise this in the way that I do, by severe disappointment. Severe disappointment. That's all. You broke the law. We make the law in Congress. This is not new stuff that all of a sudden Congress changed some rules and you can't have your employees create fake accounts and take fees from customers unknowingly, unwittingly. There's never in human history when that has been an ethical okay, right? So for you to say the culture is okay, this seems to me that you're just tone deaf to this. The final thing you need to think about and your board of directors need to think about is this. The impact you have is not simply on your institution, but the wider conversation on how my consumers can access credit. And the implications on what you've done and your leadership has done has this broader societal impact that is very negative.
Time of the gentleman has expired. The chair now recognizes